Well, good morning, Miramar, and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Tamara G. As always, check us out on all of our social media. You can check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at City of Miramar. And with us, we have a very special guest, someone I have known many, many years. I'm not even going to say how many years, Tina. How about her whole life? How about that? But she is a new author who has written a book called Texi, Perfectly and Wonderfully Made, and it is a semi-autobiographical story, but I'll let her tell you more about that and how this all came about. So, hello, Tina Darae. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you for having me, Tamara. I believe I'm
Oh,
the first person from Marshall that you've talked to on your one of your platforms. So I'm excited.
exactly. Exactly. We're from the same hometown. We've been friends for many, many years. And Tina has been on a journey for the last, 2 years now. And that people, some people knew about, some people didn't. But you found out that you had breast cancer. I love the fact that you went in and got it early detected. So just tell us, how did it all come about?
So I'm truly an advocate for my own health. And I go get my mammograms every year. And I was actually sitting here getting ready for a conference call after working out.
Mhm.
And I was getting ready to change clothes. And I swept my hand under the left side of my sports bra. And I
Mhm.
felt a mass, a lump. And I was like, no, because my mammogram was clean. I don't have that's I shouldn't be worried. And for about 5 minutes, I was like, don't worry about it. And I sat here and I literally had like a conversation with myself.
Mhm.
I was like, you don't want to know. Then I was like, yes, you do want to know. So
Yeah.
in a matter of minutes, I was on the phone with my insurance provider trying to get a mammogram schedule, a diagnostic mammogram. Because when I went online, it told me I was actually too early to have another routine mammogram. And I was kind of taken aback. So I just started calling people to see what the next step should be. And I spoke with my carrier and they said, we need to, that you have to go to your PCP for them to put in a request for a diagnostic mammogram. And then after that, they would do an ultrasound. So in the matter of 2 days, I told them to schedule me anywhere in the Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex. Um, I was at the hospital getting the test ran. So I was devastated when I received the news. I mean, you're talking to somebody that works out every day, tries to eat as healthy as possible. So to receive that news, it actually floored me. So I went through a period of depression, if you will,
Mhm.
um, because my mom actually passed from colon cancer. So, and she had 3 tests and they all came back negative. So I just kept replaying her um, the things she experienced over and over and over. And it was just, it took me deeper and deeper into an abyss, right? So I had to pull my bootstraps on up and just start getting researching and researching. And then every time I would research, the more information I read, it took me further into an abyss because the type of cancer I had, it said the survival rate was 26%.
Wow. I did
I'm
not.
not knowing. I'm
Right.
I'm not knowing the articles I'm reading were old.
Okay. Okay.
So fast forward, I go to the doctor, and the first thing I asked was, "Am I going to live?" And they said, "Absolutely." They said, "You caught it early. The success rate with the type of treatment, immunotherapy, targeted therapy, is about 99% successful once you go through the entire process." But I had no idea what that journey was going to look like and how fast it was going to go.
Well, nothing is slow with you, Tina. So we already know that. So we knew, out the gate, once you, like you said, you had a doctor's appointment in 2 days because
I
that's
did.
just how you roll. Um,
Mhm.
Even with that, as you were telling that story, it just surprised me. I'm like, okay, so you have insurance, you have a great job, engineer by trade, right? Is it engineering or?
Computer programmer by trade.
Yeah, computer programming by trade. So you have good insurance, you can pay for it, all that good stuff. But imagine that they were going to try to make you wait just because you had
Mhm.
already had a mammogram. I'm like, dudes, I'm feeling a lump here. This isn't normal. And but again, being an advocate for yourself, you made it happen. I'm
Mhm.
hoping that people are listening and not taking no for an answer if your insurance says that you can't get another mammogram within a year because you just had one. Because there are plenty of places that do free ones, and this is one of those things. Hey, if you got to pay for it yourself, it is what it is because you got to know about this. So now you're on the journey. Take it. You've had the chemo, you've had the immunotherapy, you've gone through everything. You decided to go ahead and have a mastectomy as well.
I did. So I had three options. I
Mhm.
had the one option was to just do a lumpectomy, remove the mass, keep my breasts, um, and they would make sure all the margins were clear and all the cancer was gone.
Okay.
Second option, just have a single breast removed. The breast, my left breast, could just be removed. I chose to do a double mastectomy because even though it's a small percentage, it's about a 6% advantage in it not returning if I do a double mastectomy because I didn't want to risk having the one breast removed and it come back in the right breast. And I met so many people along this journey that that's exactly what happened.
Okay.
Um, and I'm glad I made that decision. It's been kind of weird explaining that, when you're dating and all that good stuff about what that really means. But it was a personal choice. I did it for me. Everybody won't necessarily understand, but in essence, I just want to live, and I want to live to have the best quality of life possible.
And you do every day. And you're beautiful. So I'm sure that dating thing is not a problem for Miss Tina Darae. We'll talk about that off mic. But
We can talk about it
well,
now.
okay. If you're just tuning in, thank you so much for watching Good Morning Miramar. We are speaking with a dear friend of mine, longtime friend. She is now an author. We're going to get to talking about her new book, her first book that was written. And also, I was surprised to see it illustrated by you as well. Who knew you had this talent, Miss Tina? But we'll
Well,
talk
to be
about that.
fair,
Yeah.
I'm good with software, right? So you
Yes.
don't necessarily have to be put pen to paper to
Okay.
create the illustrations. So I'm just really really skilled with software.
Absolutely, been a computer programmer for many, many years
Mhm.
in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. But let's talk about dating because there are adults that are watching this now, and they may have to make that. Women and men too get breast
Mhm.
cancer, but definitely women have to make that decision. And with the dating, is that something you lead with, or does it come up eventually in a conversation?
So let me give you the backstory on that.
Okay.
October 31st, 2023, I was officially diagnosed. That was my first appointment with my surgical oncologist. I was actually seeing someone at the time,
Mhm.
and his response to my being sick, if you will, was not one that I would expect from someone that you are dating.
Yeah.
His concern primarily was I'm not going to be as attractive post cancer as I was pre cancer. So we decided to end things. And that's a personal choice, right? Everyone can't handle this. It's a lot. It's a lot. I mean, we're talking about 300 to 400 doctor's appointments. I'm on my 10th surgery. It's a lot, but I've never tried to make anyone own my issues, right? My village has been so amazing. The last thing I would do would impose or put those, this situation on someone's plate. So it was a little shocking, right?
Mhm.
So as I travel this road, I don't necessarily lead with it, but it is a topic that I do like to mention. I want them to know, hey, this is my story. This is my journey. These are the things that I've experienced. This is what helped shape me. This is who I am because I came out of cancer a totally different person. You know, I'm more humble. I'm more appreciative. I'm more grateful. I value friendships more than ever.
Mhm.
My life totally changed. I mean, you probably know I'm handbag queen,
Yeah.
handbag and shoe queen. All of those things are trivial to me because what matters most to me now is making memories and not existing but living. So I do mention that, but everybody can't handle it.
Yeah, wow, Tina, but that is amazing. That is now the focus of life. Is you're right. The living is not the material stuff. It is the hey. Once you're given that diagnosis, you're kind of like, hey, I got to get on it. I got to do the stuff I need
Mhm.
to. Why I'm here on this
Mhm.
earth and why I'm
Mhm.
here. So, and speaking of that, you have just pivoted, my sister, to who would have known or who would have even thought that you even wanted to write a book? And it's called Texi, Perfectly and Wonderfully Made. Love the name Texi because, we're both native Texans. But how did this come about? Because I'm sure, as you said, with this journey that started 2 years ago, you've had a lot of time to think about things you want to change in your life, things you may want to do. Was writing a book ever on that list?
Actually, it was. So I've always been an avid reader.
Mhm.
Um, I was just talking to our mutual friend Charlene yesterday about all the bins I have in my garage for my personal library. Tons of books. And that's all I've ever done. Even when I mentioned it to my nephew, he was like, Tina, all you've ever done is read. And that's all I know. So I thought I wanted to birth Texi. And Texi was actually the name my mom was going to bestow upon me at birth. But she had Tina or Texi. And I was like, why did you name me Texi? That's kind of cute. But anywho, um, I just Texie was born from a place of she was birthed from hurt. Um, People seriously are mean. Um, I can name many a situation where people would make me the brunt of their jokes, right? In terms of you're being bald when you lose your hair, or you look funny, or why would you shave your head bald? I mean, they just would always crack a joke. And I can remember one particular incident, and I was at an award ceremony, and this young man whom I went to college with, he thought it was the funniest thing in the world that I was bald. He just laughed so hard, but he didn't know I was there to get an award for being a survivor. Um, when I said I have breast cancer, his face just dropped. I mean, from people cracking jokes about what my breast would look like after the mastectomy to as recently as someone, I was out with a friend and his friend took it upon himself to crack jokes about me wearing a wig,
Mhm.
and I felt unprotected at that time because I felt like my friend should have stepped up and said, that's off limits. That you don't do that to people.
Right.
So it's just a matter, it's me putting my pain on paper and letting children know they're okay. You are perfectly and wonderfully made just the way you are. Everyone is not going to be empathetic. Everyone is not going to understand your journey. Everyone will know your journey. But at the end of the day, you still have to remember who you are and whose you are
Yeah.
and recognize your self-worth. The beauty lies within.
Okay, but as anyone who is watching this, beautiful, beautiful young lady has always been beautiful. And when you did have a bald head, Tina, you already know you were rocking it. I mean, you had a full face of makeup, you were dressed beautifully still. You did not change. The only thing that changed was that you didn't have hair. But I mean, you were rocking it. I was like, well, dang, now, and I find that hard to believe that people would be mean. Like that's just it, but obviously you said that's before they know what the reason is. But still, that means you're a mean person anyway, because
That
you
means
started
you're a
out being mean.
horrible person anyway.
Yeah, you started out being mean, and just because you found out I have cancer, oh, now you're not being a butthole anymore. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So Texie was born out of this. She is a 5-year-old little girl
Mhm.
who was just living her best life out, chasing the sun
Mhm.
and playing with the butterflies and all that good stuff. And cancer hits her at 5 years old. I am sure during your journey that you saw some of this in the hospital.
Mhm.
And it makes it a little bit different too when it is a child versus an adult, or does it? I'm asking that
No.
question.
I
Okay.
can remember on November 23rd, 2023,
Hmm.
I went to the main hospital to for treatment. I will never forget that day. I saw so many people of varying ages getting treatment. It rocked me because there were so many people. They had TV screens up. You know how you go to McDonald's and you place an order
Yeah.
and it's like order number this and this order goes to this person. There are TV screens that are literally rolling screens that say who's in what room getting, for treatment. And it was like screen after name after name after name. And I was like, it rocked me. I had to come home and call a counselor because it threw me for a loop. I wasn't expecting that.
Right.
And when you see different ethnicities, you see different age groups, it is devastating. it doesn't matter what
Okay.
age. It just doesn't.
Right. And so with Texi being 5 years old and being possibly, what your name was going to be uh, growing up, fleshing out that story, what made you want to tell the story of how, and I know you mentioned earlier about how people are, mean, but there were some kiddos, and they got to be, what, if you're 5, you're in kindergarten, they've got to be that age that were making fun of her and maybe didn't know why, or kids usually just want to be friends with you, but this was a little different.
It was a little different. I just realized, like, you made a valid point. Some people are just naturally mean. They are who they are. And unfortunately, some children are not necessarily taught to practice kindness or empathy. Um, and I can only imagine if adults are that cruel and they have some limits in place.
Hmm.
I can only imagine what a child who's going through this would experience at school when they're dealing with bullying, when they're dealing with, jealousy. It's I could never, I can't fathom the pain that they go through, because
Right.
they're so young. They don't know that they're still perfectly and wonderfully made. It doesn't resonate with them, who I am or whose I am. You learn those things as you age. So that within itself is probably heart wrenching. And I can't even fathom how they feel.
Right. And they are going to be different because if
Hmm.
they are a young person who's,
Hmm.
going through this challenge, and that's one thing that kids also in school don't want to be. They don't want to be different from everybody else. Everybody wants to be
Exactly.
the same or, whatever. So, Texi, you wrote in the book, and I'm not going to tell all of it because I want people to pick it up for your young person, whether they are going through this challenge or not, or just a great read. But Texi loses her hair at
She,
5.
she does.
And
She loses
so
it.
and so what made you put that part in? Because obviously, again, that is part of possibly what could happen when you are taking your cancer treatments.
She loses her hair. I put that in because it was technically my experience, right? It was just so, honestly, I'm going to be transparent.
Okay.
The thought of me losing my hair rocked me. Like, it rocked me. And I was like, am I going to lose it all? And they were like, yeah, probably by the second treatment. And I think my first chemo was on November 16th, and I started losing my hair probably by the end of the month.
Okay.
And it's not like you lose it strand by strand, right? I'm literally sitting there and I'm watching something blow across the floor. And I was like, what is that? Looking like tumbleweed. It's my hair. It comes out in literally patches.
Wow.
And when you are, and I'm again, transparency. When you are vain, if you will, I was vain. I was vain, I'm gonna be honest. Um, and anything that alters your physical image tends to rock you a little more than someone that may not, that isn't as vain, that understands that looks don't mean anything at the end of the day. So that within itself, kind of, it shook me to the core, to
Right.
just know that overnight I am getting ready to look like a totally different person. I didn't understand that I really wasn't. I didn't understand that change wasn't going, that I wasn't going to be, uh, my physical person wasn't going to be altered that much. I mean, of course, I lost weight. I lost a tremendous amount of weight. Um, but
But it doesn't
it was a
change who
learning
Tina
experience
is.
for me.
It
I'm
doesn't
sorry.
change. I said it doesn't change who Tina is.
It didn't change who I was.
Right, right, exactly. And that village that you talked about, even in the book, Texie has that same village, particularly when it comes to her family.
Mhm.
And you wrote it again, kind of autobiographical and going through your story. But I was deeply touched when Texie asked the question, "Why me? Why is this happening to me, Mama?"
I asked that question to
Okay,
God.
okay.
And it took me, and I'm trying not to cry because I cry so much when I talk about the story. So that's why I keep wiping my nose,
No,
whatever. But
no, you're
and I
good.
probably should have had some tissue.
Okay.
But I did ask that question. I did ask God, why me? And I had an epiphany. Why not me?
Hmm.
Why not use my gifts and my talents and in a way that could help others. So I try to, I may not even know the person, but I try to go to chemo with people. I try to go to doctor's visits with them. I try to actually sit in and ask the questions that I learned along the way that they may not know to ask. So I just try to use, if you will, the gift God blessed me with
I was going
to
to say
bless
the
others
gift and
with.
talents, the gift and talents that you have. And this, I know no one would see it as a gift, but it was a gift because, as
It
you
was a gift.
said, it changed, how you look at things, how you, the things that you value now more. The fact that you became an author, a published author. I mean, this is amazing. You just did something yesterday, and in case folks are just tuning in, thank you so much for watching Good Morning Miramar. We are here with my very good friend, childhood friend, from Marshall, Texas, author Tina Darae, who has talked about her battle with cancer. You're now cancer free.
Mhm.
So, praise God for that. This 2 year journey, yes, amen, that you have been on, and that family and friends have been there every step of the way. At one time you had not put it out on social media, and then something made you do that. What was it?
So I didn't tell anyone really except family.
Mhm.
And I'm going to be honest again. My friends probably were more supportive than family. That's me being honest. Um, but my village has been instrumental in everything I've done. Um, with that being said, I think it was 4 months. That was my last chemo treatment. When I rang the bell, I went live when I rang the bell.
Yep.
Um, honestly, I don't know why. I'm usually a really private person.
Yep.
And
Yep.
normally I didn't, and in normal circumstances, I wouldn't have probably even told half the people that wound up standing up and
Ma'am,
being
you
the
had about
ram. And
20 people. You had about 20 people there with you
I
ringing the
mean, it probably
bell.
was about 30. I mean, I probably,
30.
in normal situations, I probably wouldn't even tell anybody that, right? Um, because I'm so private.
Yeah.
But, God always sends a ram in the bush. Um, and I had a whole lot of rams in the bush
Yeah.
that carried me when I couldn't carry myself.
Right. And so that is the reason why Texi was born and Texi was made, perfectly and wonderfully made, by the way. You can get the book, of course, we're on Amazon, and definitely get it for your little one or even your classroom. But you actually did something, again, computer programmer by trade, been doing that for years, have you've had a very successful career. But this is a new offering as an author, and it's opened even more doors for you. You were at a hospital speaking yesterday.
I was. I actually did a live recording of the reading at Children's Hospital, which has a large network of hospitals and clinics in the Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex.
Mhm.
I had the opportunity to read the book, and it will be replayed throughout all of the children's rooms and all of the clinics in the Metroplex.
Wow, that is a Tina, that's amazing. And this is a book that it just came out, what, maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, officially. And already you're making moves and doing things that most authors wouldn't even, they don't have the chance to do. But as we mentioned earlier, this may have been the gift. This may have been to move you into a direction that you probably hadn't even thought of.
I never. So honestly, when I even I called the hospital and I said, "Hey, I'd like to schedule a reading hour with the kids," because I'm gonna be brutally honest. I don't really make any money off this book. I
Yeah.
don't. I'm gonna be brutally. I don't. I think I make $2 a book,
Yeah.
and that goes back into the book, um, to marketing.
Right.
So I called the hospital and I asked them, could I schedule a reading hour with the kids, and they said they don't do that anymore. So I let it go.
Mhm.
Imagine my surprise when I get a phone call and it's the lady, the phone just kept ringing, but I never could hear anyone on the other end. And she sent a text. She said, "Hey, I'm with Seacrest Studios. Um, Ryan Seacrest," and I didn't know this at the time. He has about, I think he's going to have like 16 studios within different hospitals for children across the country.
Okay.
Um, and she said, "I would love it if you could come in and tour the studio and actually read the book to the kids."
Kids. Okay.
So it was actually an amazing experience. I mean, it's been a very humbling journey.
Mhm.
Um,
So
when
you
you
just
look
done your
at
first audiobook. Okay, you just done your first
it was
audiobook.
my first audiobook. And so it was an humbling experience, right? Because when I started this journey, my journey was to just it was really just to make I wanted to just share my story, if you will, and let others know it's okay. You're gonna be all right. You know, life be lifing, but God be God.
Right.
So I had to to see the kids. It's just a totally humbling experience, and I'm forever grateful for that opportunity.
Ma'am, I am so glad you answered that phone instead of ignoring that.
Because I will ignore your call.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know who this is. So I'm so glad. And of course, Ryan Seacrest, who is doing this for kids as well, with different hospitals throughout the country. That is amazing that he's giving, them an opportunity to get into the studio, I'm sure. And also for authors like you to show your work and to make these kids feel better. But so you really enjoyed it. It was something that you like to do.
I did, I loved it, and I actually talked to them about coming back because it was so fulfilling. That's
Oh,
my whole goal, right? Use the gifts that God gave me to provide some type of comfort to others. So that's my goal in life. And I'm a giver, so I like giving. And if I gotta give, if I can give my time, then I'm gonna give it willingly and freely.
absolutely. And I've known that for many, many, many years. Where can people find the book Texi, Perfectly and Wonderfully Made?
It is on Amazon. You can search for Texi, and she will pop right up.
She sure will, because I did that too. Got my
Thank you, Tamara.
copy. You're welcome. Got my look, I helped you with the $2. You're good. But is going to go right back into the book, as you mentioned, and helping others.
Mhm.
Before we go, Tina, I would love to have you give a few words uh, of wisdom to women out there, and again, men, if you feel something or if something doesn't feel right, what should people do?
Don't take no. So I think I heard no the entire journey. Every step of the way, I heard no, no. I mean, even doctors would say, "Hey, we can't give you a scan right now. Insurance may not cover it." Uh, I'm sorry, and I'm like, "Excuse me, I'm asking for a scan to make sure I'm good." I don't think that's really a point of concern right now. Don't take no. If you have an issue, if you don't feel well, if you suspect anything, go to the doctor immediately. I think that's truly what saved me. I mean, even from me being diagnosed initially at stage 2 to me saying, no, that's not right. That mass that you've identified is much bigger than what I know the mass to be. Went back, took it to the treatment board, came back and said, hey, she's right. So I was downgraded to a stage 1B. So even finding out about clinical trials, um, I can remember specifically one nurse telling me because there is a vaccine for the type of cancer I have, and it's been in clinical trials for about 20 years, telling me that no such thing exists. If I want it, I need to go to to the University of Washington, I believe. And she wrote back the next day and said, the oncologist said, we would probably get the clinical trial at the beginning of January 2024. And if I wanted to be a part of it, these are the stipulations. Gratefully and humbly so, I was PCR, pathological complete response. So I wasn't able to participate in the clinical trial because they found no signs of cancer when I went to surgery.
Amen.
But fight for yourself. Read, read, read. I don't care what they say. Go in armed with facts. I mean, I would go into my plastic surgeon's office. He's like, I'm not gonna say because you'll repeat what I said verbatim. And I would. And I would because I'm sitting, I'm take you are supposed to be a master of your craft.
Right.
I am by nature going to ask questions. That's all I do. But that's my job. I ask questions to get to the end goal. And if my health and my life is in your hands, then I'm going to make sure my care team cares just as much about me living as I do.
And,
That is the ultimate goal. And
and
just be proactive.
straight from East Texas, right there. That's right. That is the ultimate goal. I need you to be just as concerned as I am about living because I want to stay here. So, and I would love to stay and talk even more, but we're gonna have you back. Texi, Perfectly and Wonderfully Made. The book is out right now. It is on Amazon. You can get it. Very easy read for the little ones. and parents, if you want to read it to them at night, that'll be great as well. And if people want more information, of course, they can always go online. I know you said you were working on the website and all that good stuff, so
Mhm.
they can look that up. But definitely get the book, Texi, Perfectly and Wonderfully Made. You can find it on Amazon. So please support my friend
Please.
and
And
her
this
mission.
but ultimately, a part of the proceeds actually is going to be donated to Children's Hospital in St. Jude's as well. So you're not just supporting me, you're supporting others.
There you go. Thank you so very much, author. I love saying that author, Tina Darae, the author of Texi, Perfectly and Wonderfully Made, and also my longtime friend, my sister, many years. I've known her many years. We grew up together. Thank you so much for telling your story. Thank you so much for writing this story. And you look beautiful, and we're just going to keep on praying that all is well, and that this book does what it's supposed to do for you in your life, and also with the proceeds helping others. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me, Tamara.
And thank you so much for watching Good Morning Miramar. Until next time, I'm Tamara G. See ya.